Hello, I'm Matai from the RoboRoos East FLL team, and today we'll be going through some more blocks that will make your life easier while programming. But first, we need to correct a mistake that happened very early on in episode 1. So if you grab your motor read block, and this one will look different from yours, in yours, it has here measure degrees. You actually have to go back into that and change that into measure rotations. Unfortunately, I didn't notice the difference because I've been using this mode, but it shouldn't be a problem with any of the other blocks as I've actually made copies of them that are exactly what you have. So just go into your motor read block and change this from measure degrees into measure rotations. So unfortunately that was a little bit of a mix-up, and after episode 1 I had to revert to an older version, and I just didn't notice it. But now we'll go into an actual block, so with that done we can get into RobotConfig. And RobotConfig is a block quite similar to init-run, but instead of doing things like resetting the sensors and variables, we use it to tell the program where things are on the robot. We initialize the ports of the motors and sensors, and later on we'll be setting other values. In our version, which you may need depending on how you've built your robot, we even have a variable telling the program whether the motors are inverted or not. This is because on our robot, to compact the design, we have made our wheels upside down. Unless you have built your robot like that, you shouldn't have to put an inversion. However, I'll be putting it in the example, yeah? So the first step is to create 3 new variables. The first should be left motor, or you can just put in the L. And then the second will be right motor, and you can do this using the R or using right. And the third variable you want to make is the gyro port. And so now you want to give each of these the port values. And even though you might be used to calling them B and C, for example, you actually use a numerical value. So instead of A, B, C, or D, you'll want to put in 1, 2, 3, or 4. So for us, because it's ports 2 and 3 for our left motor and right motor, ports B and C, we'll write in 2 and 3. And the gyro port, it will be exactly the same, it's just the sensor port, so 2 for us at least. And for every sensor you've got, you want to do this as well. So if you've got, for example, a light sensor or a color sensor, then you can add a variable for color sensor. And so you want to do that for all of your different sensors. We don't do it because we don't have very many other main sensors. Okay, so now you'll want to take the variables you've made, set them to read, and then you want to take left motor and right motor, and you want to put them into a maths block, which goes to advanced, and you just want to do A times 10 plus B, and then take the output from these two. And what's this going to do is it's going to take the 2 ports, in this case 2 and 3, and it'll multiply times 10, giving you 20 plus, well, 3, so it gives you 23. And what's this useful for is when you grab something like a move steering block, and you go into the ports, when you set it to wired, it will take the 2 combined ports, and that means that 23 means ports B and C. And so you want to create another variable after it, and just call it main motors, and set it to right, and plug the result in. Okay, so now we'll make a new line, and here we have to do, and this part's optional, it's the other thing up for, it's about the inversion. So for those of you who do want to know, you just create a variable called inversion, and just connect that up. And what happens is one is to go is if your motors are facing forward. -1, not -2. -1 is if your motors are upside down, or if the gears change it for some reason, or whatever, for whatever reason, just set it to -1. So yeah, just remember to do that with all your motors and sensors. So even your medium motors for like your attachments, you'll want to also put in here. And so I'll just put it in here. And you can call them whatever you want. We've called them left mid motor and right mid motor. And all you have to do is you can give them values. So for us it's A and D. So you'd set them to 1 and 4. And if you do have an attachment that's going to be using both of them at the same time to do one movement, you will want to use the same setup that you made for the main motors. However, this I'm going to leave it blank. And just an example for other sensors, you can grab the different sensors. So yeah, so this is just left light sensor and right light sensor. And so, for example, these could be ports 1 and 3. And then you can go throughout your program and change all the sensors according to this. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So you create this into a my block and call it RobotConfig. And just give it a symbol. We use this briefcase and click finish. And there you go. So I want to put this at the beginning of your program. So what can we actually do with this? Well, if you grab the turn 2 block we made. Okay, so it seems like I have a problem where for some reason the new turn hasn't been saved for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in default. So you'll want to do this within turn 2. But what you want to do is you want to grab the green movement block that you have in turn 2 and change it into a block called basic motor. And that's just the move steering block. And it'll take 2 inputs. It'll take the balance and the speed. And all it really is just, you know, the green motor block. So if we just go here, for balance we'll use this sign, and for speed we'll use the typical sign, and click finish. And for most of you, what you'll want to do is just plug these two in here, and you'll want to set this, instead of on for rotations, just set it to on. And so what we did with RobotConfig earlier is we set this to wired. It'll help with this because you can set this to wired, read numeric, and just find your main motors and plug it in. And now whenever you need to change the main motors, you can find them in one place, RobotConfig. And when you need to change something to do with the base green block, you can just change to basic motor. So you'll also want to change the green blocks to basic motor in directional move and move XY. And next, you also want to do it with all of the things to do with the gyros. So, for example, in corrected gyro or in tracker, you'll want to fix it. Also, within motor read, and you might have seen it earlier in the video with the earlier version, we have this left motor and right motor here, and we just plug them in instead of giving them a solid number. And so wherever you've got one of these variables, you want to plug it in. So yeah, you'll also want to do this for some calculation, except that you use corrected gyro. So yeah, so within corrected gyro, we'll just grab it and set it to be gyro port. And so just do that everywhere you need. And And so that's it for today. So thank you for watching and see you next time.